I'm Chloe Estelle McCall. I'm over here as the growth marketing manager for ReferralMob. And for some of you guys, if you don't know what ReferralMob is, we're a Boston-based company that helps job seekers find and land great opportunities. And you get paid for doing it. So you can find out more at our website, so referralmob.com /job seekers. And today our webinar is going to be led by Hanneke Antonelli. She's an award-winning certified coach. She's a speaker and lover of all things self-improvement. And Hanneke is the creator of the Ultimate Career Bootcamp. So that's an online course that provides the roadmap to successful career transitions. She also runs Savvy Success Minds, and it's an innovation group that helps entrepreneurs build a prosperous business. So we'll just go over a couple housekeeping items before we start. There's going to be a live Q&A at the end of the 30-minute presentation. But if you have questions along the way, you can submit them using the chat function, and we'll get to them at the very end, okay? So stay tuned. And then Hanneke also has a special offer for everybody that's tuned in, top 5. And last but not least, we're going to be emailing the video recording after the event. So you can keep an eye out for that and share it out to your friends that may not have been able to join. So without further ado, I'm also going to now have Hanneke take over. Thanks for coming, Hanneke.
Thank you so much for having me, Chloe Estelle, and thank you guys so much for being here. I'm super excited to share what we'll be discussing in this webinar with you guys today. So the first thing that I really want to touch on is that what we'll be getting out of today's workshop, right, or webinar. So you are going to discover your purpose. We're going to gain some clarity and certainty about your dream job. And then I'm also going to give you the step-by-step guide to build a successful career. And then I'm also going to tell you the big reasons why people tend to fail when they're wanting to design their dream jobs. And then, as Chloe Estelle has said earlier, we're going to have a live Q&A, and then I'm also going to have a special announcement for you guys. So make sure that you stay until the end so that you really get everything that we have to offer here for you today. Your time is valuable to us, and we really want to make sure that we give you the most here. Okay, so just a quick little background about me. If you haven't been following me for a while, or today is the first time that we are meeting, then hi, hello. I was born on a farm in South Africa, and on the left there on the screen, you'll see me sitting with my little puppy, Heidi, my little Maltipoo. And so I was basically born in South Africa, and I was also schooled there, and I went to the University of Stellenbosch, and I graduated with a bachelor's of financial analysis. But while I was at university, I remember watching this movie called Keeping the Faith, and I was super inspired by Jenna Hill's role, and specifically one of her scenes in this movie where she's this high-flying corporate woman and she's doing a whole bunch of deals. And I remember in that moment turning to my mom and going, you know what, Mom, I want to be her one day. So lo and behold, after graduating university, I moved to London and I landed a job as a foreign exchange money broker at a brokerage firm in London. And I started trading the forward euro dollars. And I, for a couple of years, was very excited and enjoyed the career until it started to feel like I was in the movie The Wolf of Wall Street, where things were just chaotic. There was way too much going out and partying, and the role itself wasn't really fulfilling me or even playing into my strengths. So at that moment, I felt very stuck in my own role. For various reasons. I had lots of fears because my visa was also attached to this job, right? So if I left my job, then I wouldn't be able to stay in the country. And by that point, I had moved from London and I was actually working on Wall Street itself. So very stuck there and not quite sure what to do. So how did I become unstuck? First of all, in a moment where I was looking up at my boss and essentially looking what my future would look like, I just realized that that wasn't that I at all wanted to be doing in 20 years time. He's exactly 20 years older than I was. And so I made a commitment in that moment to myself to really find my purpose. And as a result, I hired a coach. I got clear on my goals, and I implemented all of the principles that I'm about to share with you today. And many months later, I was able to quit my job and start as a Pilates instructor, and now later a life coach, because it was so valuable what I had learned from my own coach that I really wanted to give this back to people. But the most beautiful thing about finally being able to really figure out what my purpose is and what my goals are is that it's been very easy for me to adjust and mold myself, and then success just kind of came easy after that. So I'm super excited to share all of this with you today. So, but before we go there, let's just quickly start with the majority of people that we may know in our own lives, or maybe currently you're feeling like one of them, right? So the soul-sucking job loop that most people get stuck in is very real, right? Like according to an article published in Forbes magazine, 52.3% of Americans are unhappy in their jobs. That's a staggering amount if you think about it. And the reasons why people are really stuck in these jobs that they don't like is that most people are not clear about what you want. I can't even begin to tell you the amount of my private clients that when they first come to me and I ask them this, what should be a somewhat simple question, they cannot answer exactly what it is that they want for their life. I'm not talking about necessarily the job that they want to have or the career they want to design, but most people can't even tell you what they want for their life. And then they'll go on in that state and they'll do random job searching, which will often just get them into another job with the same problems and the same things that they hated than before, which then get them into that soul-sucking job loop. And then it will build up a lot of frustration, fear, and essentially self-sabotage. And then some people may go on and they will go and Google, okay, I really want to get my purpose here. So how am I going to do that? And they will go on and they will say, okay, I'm going to Google how to get my purpose. And then what happens is that they will come onto this little diagram that we have on the left side here. And if you look at that diagram, it's what is your purpose? Now, your purpose is what you love, what the world needs from you, what you get paid for, and what you're great at. And then that is your mission and your vocation and your profession and your passion. And when it all meets in the middle, that's your purpose. And I don't know about you, but most of my clients, when they look at something like that, they will feel a little bit like our guy on the right here, completely overwhelmed. And that's just shutting them down then, because it's too many questions and too big a picture to ask up front. So how do we then discover what your purpose truly is? Well, what you want to do is you first want to organize your life and your career goals. So you want to ask yourself, what is it that you want for your life, right? And you can take that even deeper. Like sometimes people have a hard time answering this question. Like I just said, they don't know what they want. So you want to ask many more questions. And in my Ultimate Career Bootcamp, I go a little deeper with my clients on these specific questions. But some of the questions that you can ask is, what is it that you want for your life? And then maybe even what is it that you want to achieve throughout your career, right? So what is it that you want for your career? Do you want to be the CEO of a company? Or are you just going to be happy in a managerial role? Or do you just never want to manage people at all? So these are all questions that you want to answer first. And once you know that, then it becomes super easy for you to get or answer what your purpose is. So what is your purpose? To answer this question, you actually have to ask yourself, why? So it's the deeper meaning behind wanting to do something, right? That's sort of what the meaning of purpose is. So you want to start asking yourself, once you've listed all these answers to what you want for your life and what you want for your career, you actually want to go a step further and then say, okay, why do I want this? What are your roadblocks to clarity then, right? Because once you start to pinpoint your what it is that you want for your career, and you answer those clarity and career driven questions for yourself, then it's inevitable that a couple of roadblocks may come up for you. And normally the thing that I see happen with my career bootcamp clients and also my career coaching clients, my private clients, is that fear will get in their way. Because it is like what Elizabeth Gilbert says, fear is always triggered by creativity. Because creativity asks you to enter into realms of uncertain outcome. And fear hates uncertain outcome. This is nothing to be ashamed of. It is, however, something to be dealt with. The one thing that you want to remember is when you do start to look into new opportunities and different avenues, it's very normal for you to feel a little bit scared, sometimes a little bit overwhelmed. But it's very important for you to make sure that you don't let this fear stand in your way, because fear is something that is not really it's not something that is going to ever help you to do anything, right? We're still designed to think that the lion is attacking us, and then we get that anxious about it as if we're going to die. Where sometimes it's not a rational emotion, is what I'm trying to say. So what happens is when you do fall into your fear mode, it will feel as if things can never work out, and you will start to feel like, oh, you know, it's more secure for me to stay in this job versus try something that I really love. But when you do that, you're really just sabotaging yourself, and you're going to keep yourself unhappy for a very long time. And what happens then is you might become resentful, and it might, it might be very frustrating for you. So remember that your fear is there to help you and to keep you alive, but sometimes the amount of fear that you're feeling is very overpowering and actually very irrational to what is actually going to happen for you, right? So, and this is something that I work with my ultimate career bootcampers and private clients a lot, because fear is the number one killer of creativity and of helping you find your passion, right? So make sure that it's something that you can really address and work with. And then you really want to play as if the universe is rigged in your favor. And the reason why you want to start approaching your life in this way is because if you're more positive, then that means that you can be more creative. And if you're more creative, then there's way more possibilities that you'll see that you're not currently seeing because you're in that state of fear. And once you're in that possibility thinking mode, you'll get so many more solutions. Right. So how do you put this all into practice and actually build a successful career and find something that you love? So you can follow the following steps. First of all, you really want to make sure that you get super creative and that you dig deep within yourself to understand what is fueling your desire to create this life you're dreaming of. So this is that why that we discussed right in the beginning. Right? So these steps that I'm about to say kind of pull together everything that we've discussed today. So really start to ask yourself, why is it that you want this certain job or ideal life that you want, and what fuels you on a deeper level? Secondly, you really want to make sure that you stay very positive and you don't listen to those negative Nancys or the negative chatter that goes on in your mind. And this does require that you will have to take a little bit of risk. But if you go at this in the right manner, then it won't feel that risky and you won't feel out of control ever. Then thirdly, you want to make sure that you create a concrete plan with SMART goals and action steps to start your own business and or create your dream career. So SMART goals, for those of you who don't know what they are, is you want to make sure that you get more specific on what the goals are, what you want, right? That's again back to what we were discussing before. What is it that you want for your life? Then you want to make sure that it's measurable. So you want to make sure that when you achieve this goal or when you're working towards this goal, it's easy for you to kind of measure where you're at, whether what still needs to be done or whether you've hit it. Then you want to make sure the A there in the SMART acronym is achievable, right? So you want to make sure that it is something that you can really get and do. It's actionable and achievable. So you want to make sure it's something that you can really take action on. Then the next thing is you want to make sure that it is realistic. So this is the part where the achievable and your realistic part comes in together. It's something that you can achieve in enough time, right? So say you set a goal and you're like, I want to be a billionaire tomorrow morning. Well, that's a little unrealistic if you haven't even started a business yet or you're not even in a sales role yet, right? So you want to make sure that you give yourself then, lastly, enough time as well. So there's a timeline attached to it too. And then, as Tony Robbins says, you want to make sure that if you want to achieve something, find someone who can give you the results you want. Model them successfully because success leaves clues. How do you do it quicker? Obsess about it. Focus on it until you have so much emotion about your goal that it inspires you to take action. Model someone, and with some grace, you'll do that, right? And that brings us to the last 3 little steps that you want to take here. If you are not quite sure what you want to do, or even if you have an idea of what you want to do, start talking to as many people as possible. Start to network. Go to networking events where people hang out that are in the industry that you think you want to be in or that you're interested in. And really start to build connections with people there. To give you an example, when I was still teaching Pilates, I kind of realized like, okay, this isn't really what I want to do anymore. And what should I do next? And I had like a ton of ideas of what I wanted to do next. I was going to go back to school and become a tax accountant. And then I was going to go back to school and I was going to become a dermatologist because, you know, that was one of my career options when I first started my, my whole career path. And so I was like, talking to a friend one afternoon after months of really thinking about this and talking to people. And she was like, oh, you know what? I'm going to go and have lunch with a girlfriend of mine who teach career and life coaches. And I was like, what? There's someone like that out there? Because in my mind, because my life coach had been a psychologist, I thought that is what you needed to become a life coach. You needed to go back to school and become a psychologist, right? And literally after having that conversation with my friend and finding out that I could become a life coach within a year and then help people in the way that my life coach had helped me, I was signed up within 2 weeks and here I am today. So that is how quickly things can happen if you keep your eyes and your ears open. Also, when you're talking to people, don't come at it from the angle of, hey, you know, do you think I'd be good at this? Or what do you think? Don't ask other people's opinions in the beginning because they will make you completely disorganized and completely confuse you because other people have a certain idea of what you can and can't do in the world as well. They're also just operating from their limitations. So letting other people's opinions influence what you want to do with your life is a sure way to end up in another unhappy situation. Then in step 5, you really want to create your habits that will help you to stay motivated and inspired even when the going gets tough. So this is what we were addressing with the whole fear. You really want to make sure that you are either meditating or you're going to the gym or anything that is positive and can keep you in that positive frame of mind as you're looking and designing your successful career. And then lastly, in step 6, you want to make sure that you have built-in accountability partners or a mastermind group in your life that can help you achieve your goal. And this is where, again, the bootcamp is so amazing, because it's people who come together and they can all work, even though they're in different industries, they can all come together and admit, like, I'm actually looking to change my career and design something that's more who I am and who I want to be in this world. So wherever you are, do make sure that you have that in your life. And that then brings us to the biggest reasons why people fail or don't get that job that they want or design a career that they really love. And it is because of that lack of support. So that's that step 6 that we just discussed. They don't have enough accountability. They go at this alone and with no real plan or structure or a catalyst. And then as a result, that can really cost them a lot of time and money, because they may go and do courses that's not necessary, or they may end up in another job that they don't love. And inevitably, that's going to cause a lot of stress, and it's really going to impact their relationships. And the result is then that they'll abort the job search and just end up in the same unhappiness, but just in a different job, right? So you really want to make sure that you don't get yourself to this situation. And again, the way you make sure that you don't get here is committing to yourself that you're going to figure this out, because just that commitment alone is really going to help you. If you're constantly coming at this with curiosity and keeping your eyes and your mind open, the world will deliver someone in your path that's going to give you or get you a step closer to that dream job that you really want. So just as a little recap then, we discovered your purpose by organizing your life and career goals. Then we gained clarity and certainty to home in on the perfect job for you. And then after that, we followed the step-by-step guide to build a successful career. And now it's your turn to take action.
Hanneke, that's awesome. Thank you so much for all of that information, because that was really, really helpful, I think, in defining that it's really in the hands of the individual to be inspired and also, kind of gain a sense of self. So that's really cool.
You're very, very welcome.
Yeah.
Thank you for having me.
And I'm really excited because we had a few questions come in ahead. And if you're here and participating, if you want to start submitting a question, we can tack it on to the end. But so I'm just going to read through some of these. And if Hanneke, if you can give your response, because it might be something that people are interested in as well.
Yes, of course.
So we had Tom submit a question, and it was like, how long should I expect it to take to design and start working towards my dream job?
All right. So I love that question. Thank you, Tom, for submitting that to us. So how long does it take? Well, it can take anything from a day to a lifetime, right? Because essentially, you may just need to do a couple of tweaks in your current situation to make the job that you have right now your dream job. So maybe it's you have to have a conversation about boundaries or work-life balance, or maybe you have to have a negotiation about your salary. That's going to get you to what your ideal and dream job is, right? And for other people, it may be that they want to go back to school because they are in fashion now and they want to become a doctor. So of course, that will then take you a little bit longer. And the key thing to remember here that I always stress to my clients as well is that any job at some point is not going to be your ideal job anymore, right? So this is kind of a moving target, and it's natural because you as a human being change, and what you desire. Like when I was 23 and on Wall Street for my first couple of years, it was the best thing ever. You have a company credit card and you can go out and drink on other people's tabs and have clients that are your age around you the whole time, and then, have fun at the office. that was perfect for when I was 23. But when I was 26 and 27 and wanting to settle down and you start, a serious relationship, that no longer was what I wanted for my life, right? So all jobs at some point can be the perfect job for you, and then you yourself may grow out of that role. So always being open-minded about that and constantly checking in with yourself, like what we said in the beginning. What are my life goals in this moment? Because they're even going to change. Your life goals will change eventually. So this is a lifelong process. So if the question was like, how quickly can I implement it? You can implement it today. You can create that change for yourself today. And how long will it take? It's going to be a lifetime of you really being present in your life and asking yourself the right questions so that you're constantly making sure you are living up to your full potential in your role and in your career.
Oh, gotcha. Okay, yeah, and that makes total sense. So we also had Nicole. She is sharing that she's been working in marketing for the past 4.5 years and recently discovered there are other things that motivate her. So
Okay.
what kind of advice would you give her on like a next step if she wanted to do a career change?
No, thank you so much for that question. Yeah, so for you, I would say definitely go and explore those avenues a little bit deeper. So if there's other things that you're interested in, again, go and talk to people in those industries. Go and see what jobs people have in those interest areas that you have. And then also see, what comes from that. Because when you start this whole talking to people, you'll build connections, and that will then give you more ideas of jobs that you maybe didn't even know existed.
Okay. Yeah. So if anybody has any questions that they want to live submit, now is a great time to do that, and we can cover those before we move on to the special opportunity that people who will watch our webinar are going to have presented to them. Does anybody have any questions? Okay, great. Then looks like we can move on to that. So Hanneke, thank you so much for your insights today, and everybody that came in for attending the webinar. And as a special treat for those that came in, Hanneke is going to offer a 60-minute private coaching call and a complimentary resume critique for the first 5 that enroll in her online bootcamp. So you can find out more information on our website. It's hannekeantonelli.com/bootcamp. And make sure you mention the webinar when you sign up. So thanks for coming, guys. And thank you again, Hanneke.
Thank you so much. It was so lovely to be here. I really appreciate it. And if anybody has any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out to me. Thank you.